PC gaming and the war that consoles lost. Why play video games on PC is better than play on consoles? I play video games since the Nintendo 64, and recently I decided to prioritize the PC gaming. My favorite consoles will always be the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One, but play video games on PC really changed how I see video games and how I play it, and this video I'll show you the reason. My experience with PC gaming was extremely short. I remember when I was a kid and accidentally pressed a button and a game opened to me. That was Counter-Strike, a game where you play with terrorists and counter-terrorists. One team have to plant a bomb and the other team have to stop the bomb to being planted. And if the bomb was planted, the other team had to defuse the bomb. My brother had two Counter-Strike games, the classic CS 1.6, another game I don't remember if was the CS Condition Zero or the CS Source. I also had a memory of my brother playing a football game with his friends, but I never knew which game it was. The fact is that I didn't use PC for playing video games, I just preferred to play on my PS2 I had at the time. When I played games on PC were smaller games like Angry Birds, Fruit Ninja, Five Nights at Freddy's, browser games and Facebook games. But in 2017, after remembering that Counter-Strike exists, I decided to download the parted game on my PC. I played CS 1.6, I played CS Condition Zero, I played CSGO for the first time, I played old games through emulators. One of those old games I played on emulators was the Super Nintendo version of the first Doom, and after that I downloaded and played Doom and Doom 2 on my PC. I played the horrible port of the first Halo. I played a lot of stuff, but the problem was that during 2017, 2018 and 2019 my PC was already outdated. It got to a point where almost no games run on it. I never played TF2 back then cause my PC couldn't run the game, and when one of my friends came here at the end of 2019, he simply broke my PC and stopped working, leaving me in 2020 and 2021 with only a cell phone. In 2022, I came back to PC gaming after I bought a new PC. For the first time, I created an account on Steam and started to buying games. I played Left 4 Dead for the first time, I played TF2 for the first time, I played Garry's Mod, I played Halo 2 Project Cartographer at the time when I was unable to play on Xbox. I even made a video at the time called How to Play Games Being Poor that I recommend to you watch. The fact is that even with a new PC, I was always a console player, and the PC was a secondary platform that I only used to play from time to time. But at the end of 2024, I made a decision. The decision that I leave Xbox as a secondary platform and play more on PC. And for the past 2 weeks, I've been playing much more on PC than on Xbox. And that started to change what I think about video games in general. The reason I decided to majority play video games on PC was because of my disappointment with the Xbox. All the decisions that Microsoft has been making in recent years have meant that players need an Xbox less and less to play games. You don't need an Xbox to play the new games, you don't need an Xbox to enjoy the Game Pass, and this is good for accessibility reasons. More people will enjoy these things, and for some time now, it's become extremely clear that Microsoft no longer cares about console sales, they wanna sell Game Pass. Just look at the Xbox One sales that have dropped since the time Microsoft started releasing all Xbox exclusives on PC, and they didn't even care. But at the same time that the lack of exclusivity and you being able to play Xbox games and use Game Pass everywhere makes the Xbox console less valuable. Every year, the reason to have an Xbox becomes smaller since Game Pass is basically the one pillar that supports the Xbox, but neither Microsoft nor the players care. And knowing this, I decided that the PC was the best place to me. Playing games on PC made me see games in a different way and remove certain prejudices I have towards certain games. For example, there is a game released in 2019 called My Friend Pedro. I played it for the first time on Xbox back in 2019 when it was released on Game Pass, and I genuinely enjoyed the game, but when I came back to play it in 2022, I thought the game horrible. Finishing the PC version back then was basically a torture, but nowadays I see that I probably just hated the game cause even playing on PC, I had the closed mind of Xbox player. I feel like on console, people are always used by companies to have ultra realistic games that theoretically justify the existence of the console cause, well, they make all the marketing around the console's power. Players wanna see this power in action, and I think this makes players gamers reject games that aren't ultra realistic with ray tracing, out of this galaxy facial expressions, even though it all run at 30 FPS and have extremely questionable art direction. For example, Hades is an amazing game, a roguelite that practically borders on perfection. I remember to this day when I played the game in 2022 and I simply fell in love with it so much that I bought the game in 2023 on Xbox and also on Steam, although I didn't play it on PC cause I explained in this video. The story of this game is very good, you really care about the characters, the art of the game and the design of each thing, each character, each weapon are clearly made with a great care. I'm not saying that you can't like Hades. Everyone is free to have opinions, but at the same time, it's ridiculous that I have to see comments saying that the game is bad because of the graphics and I seriously bought a PS5 to play this. But on PC this doesn't exist. The availability of indie games is greater, so the public is more used to this type of game. There is no need for realistic games to necessarily justify the purchase of a console, cause you are the one who choose what power your PC will have, through video cards, processors, and other things. If I played games like My Friend Pedro, Katana Zero, Undertale, and The Outer Wilds today, my view would probably be different. And taking advantage of the fact that I say that you're the one who choose the power of your PC, this is also one of the points that is making me migrate to the PC. One of the reasons I always prefer the Xbox over the PlayStation was the options. For example, the Xbox controller. Many people criticize the fact that it uses batteries while the PlayStation controller uses batteries. But they forget that on Xbox you have the option to use battery cells, of using battery packs, and of using the USB cable. You have your choice, and yes, I also hate the fact that the controller doesn't come with the battery pack or USB cable by default. It only comes with a pair of battery cells that are even rechargeable, and that sucks, but they give you the option. While on the PlayStation you only use batteries that aren't removable unless you remove the screws and open the controller. And when the battery runs out, cause it's not easily removable, you can't end it and must use a USB cable and go back to the PS1 era until the battery recharges. And if your battery gets damaged, you either have to work harder to get a new battery or you simply throw your controller in the trash. Besides the fact that I never liked PlayStation controllers, I always prefer the Xbox ones. And the fact that Microsoft's console gives more options is a very good thing. But when you switch to PC, the options become much greater. Even though I like the Xbox controller, you're still limited to use an Xbox controller. While on PC, you can use any controller you want. You can use Xbox controller, you can use a DualSense, you can use those Chinese controllers that are horrible. You play in the resolution you want, resolutions that aren't allowed on the console. On your console, you are limited to playing at a specific frame rate, and the current gen simply doesn't deliver what it promises. I don't remember almost any game that runs perfectly at 4K 120 FPS. It's always 4K 60 FPS or even 30 FPS, or it's 1080p 120 FPS. And of course, playing at 30 FPS won't make the game unplayable, but it's a shame that consoles that claim to be next gen don't deliver this. In the PS5 box, they promised it up to 8K, and not even the PS5 Pro fulfilled that promise. The new gen lives on lies, and on the PC, these lies don't exist cause you're the one who chose the specifications of your PC. You can run old games at 120 FPS in a ultra wide resolution. It's something you simply don't have on console, and it's another reason I'm switching my primary platform. Xbox Live shaped the way online multiplayer works on console. Before it, we had the Dreamcast and the PlayStation 2, although not all people remember that you could play online multiplayer on the console. The classic Xbox, bringing games like Halo 2, Star Wars Republic Commando, Phantom Dust, Star Wars Battlefront 2, Counter-Strike, and many other games that marked an era with their respective multiplayers. And when the Xbox 360 was released, the entire console ecosystem was geared towards online gaming, creation of community, and the interaction that existed between players. You paid for the online system, but the security and the instability of the Xbox Live made it much better than the PSN from PS3. Studies have already been done showing that Xbox Live was much faster than the PSN. And then there are YouTubers saying that PSN is better without presenting any facts and using the sole argument that Gears of War had lag or resistance to a game user servers were even working at the time he made this video run without problems. People really like mediocrity. What I'm trying to say is that even if Xbox Live wasn't perfect, at least it was never hacked the way the PSN was. Over 77 million accounts hacked with the PSN being offline for 40 days. So for example, even though I didn't agree with the fact that you had to pay to play online, I understood it cause in exchange, I was playing on a much more safer online network. But when the 80th gen arrived, Sony also started charging for online play, and when Nintendo Switch was released, it was also started charging for online play, and even if you still get things in exchange for paying, it's not enough in the case of Xbox and in the case of Nintendo. Xbox Live is not actually that thing. No, there's Game Pass Core where you pay to play online and in return, you receive the reduced Game Pass catalog. Nintendo has the subscription where you pay to play online and in return you get Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis and other retro consoles games that you can emulate on your cell phone. In this case, the PC is still the best option. You simply don't play to play online. Of course, PC has many hackers, many cheaters, that is undeniable, but between playing to play online and have a mediocre online system service only receiving some very filthy things in return and not playing to play online to have a mediocre online system, I prefer not to pay, and that's it. One of the biggest advantages of the Xbox One and Xbox Series compared to the PS4 and PS5 is backward compatibility, but what few people point out is that Xbox backward compatibility just sucks. The PS2 is backward compatible with the PS1, the Nintendo Wii is backward compatible with the GameCube if you have the white model, the Nintendo 3DS is backward compatible with the Nintendo DS, and even the trash called PS3 is backward compatible with PS1 and PS2 if you use a specific model from the console's release period. And do you know what they all have in common? The backward compatibility works, and the new consoles run all the games from the old ones. If you have a PS2, you can play any game from PS1. If you have a Nintendo Wii, you can play any GameCube game. If you have a 3DS, you can play any DS game. But if you have an Xbox... The Xbox 360 was backward compatible with the classic Xbox, but only a few older games would run on the new console. If you try to play a classic Xbox game on the Xbox 360 but it wasn't backward compatible, the game didn't run. And on Xbox One and Series, the same thing happens but even worse. You've practically only a third of the Xbox 360 catalog available. Games like Armored Core 4, 5, and Verdict Day, Arm of 2 The 40th Day, and Devil's Cartel, Warhammer Space Marine 1, Crash of the Titans, Crash Might Over Mutant, Gun, Conflict Denied Ops, Condemned 2, Quake 4, Wolfenstein 2009, Turok 2008, Enemy Front, Inversion, Homefront, Quantum Theory, Kane Elite Dead Man, and Medal of Honor 2010 aren't backward compatible with the Xbox One and Xbox Series. And the catalog of backward compatible classic Xbox games is even smaller. For example, Halo Combat Evolved and Halo 2 aren't backward compatible. The only one that was saved was the Xbox One, where all its games are backward compatible with the Xbox Series except those for Kinect. But backward compatibility for Xbox is extremely limited. On the PS5 you just have the backward compatibility with the PS4. Sony leaves you dependent on remaster and ports, and Nintendo has a subscription where you get access to old games. But on PC the situation is quite different. On PC there are no generations, I mean there are, but they're gens of video cards, gens of processors, and not gens of consoles. Cause of this, you don't need to change your console and lose all your games cause companies no longer know how to do a good backward compatibility. You can play literally every game available for PC on a PC, ranging from the newest Marvel Rivals to the old Road Rash. This game is simple amazing. Looking superficially, for those who never play it, they might think it's just a racing game, but it's simple a game where in addition to racing against other drivers, you can cause damage to them with weapons. If you're not careful, you could fall off your motorcycle and this will only slow you down. And to top it off, the game has police. Seriously, the live action cutscene where the dog appears is enough to scare any kid. And if it wasn't for PC, I'd never play this game since it's not available on Xbox, and I guess it's not available on PlayStation or Nintendo. Only Road Redemption and Road Rage. The PC is a great opportunity for you to get to know old games, especially due to the lack of console gens. And now though many games don't exist in any PC launcher, you can download it using abandonware. In the last 2 weeks I played Battlefield and Delta Force, and not all the games from these two fronts are available on Steam. If you wanna play Patna's Project Wolf, Overspeed High Performance Street Racing, GTA 1 and GTA 2, abandonware is waiting for you. In some moments you have to learn how to use certain things, you have to learn about certain files, find safe websites, emulate old systems like MS-DOS and old versions of Windows, but it's really worth it. The library of games available on PC is huge and pretty good. I don't wanna talk extensively about mods here, cause saying that mods are one of the advantages of PC is the same thing as saying that water is wet. On consoles, mods are still very limited and only exist in some games, while on PC you can modify any game. Gary's mod, for example, is a game made uniquely and exclusively for you to modify. That's why it's exclusive to PC. It's a game that only makes sense to exist for PC. In Gary's mod, you can literally simulate other games like Quake 3 and Flappy Bird, and through mods, you can fix certain problems in certain games. If you don't use mods, you can't play GTA San Andreas using windowed mode. Many games that are poorly optimized and buggy when they're released can be fixed by mods. Bethesda games are example of this. Starfield, before releasing, already had a community of modders ready to fix the game's bugs at release. Mods are essential to extend gameplay time and at the same time fix things that companies don't fix. In this video I say some reasons why I'm migrating to the PC, but I want you to understand that firstly, I'm not gonna stop playing on consoles, and secondly, the fact that I think the PC is better doesn't mean that it's perfect. In the long run, playing on PC ends up being cheaper than playing on console since games are cheaper and you only need to upgrade your parts. But the initial investment you must do to have a PC with the same power as a console is very high. Many people don't have this money. I don't have this money. Even my PC doesn't run many new games. For example, the PS5 Pro costs $700. A $700 PC can't have the same power as a PS5 Pro. So even if it's cheaper in the long run, the initial investment is still very high, and buying a PC with the same power of a PS5 Pro will be more expensive than buying the PS5 Pro itself. I just hate the fact that on PC, games are fragmented in many different launchers like Steam, Battle.net, Epic Games Store, GOG, Ubisoft Connect, or Amazon Games. And to play certain games, you need to download launchers that you don't want. And to make the things worse, most of these launchers are terribly bad. But with the exception of these problems that I mentioned, playing on PC is still much better than playing on consoles. And the worst part is that companies simply don't make an effort to make consoles that are even slightly different. All marketing around the new Xbox or the new PlayStation is always focused largely on power. You can say what you want about the Nintendo Switch, but at least it has something different even though it's a bad console. While PlayStation and Xbox, you always focus on power, using certain crutches to say there is one more reason for you to buy their console. PlayStation uses exclusive as a crutch, while Xbox uses Game Pass as a crutch. And I say crutches because these two things already exist on PC, but obviously with reservations. And in a time where companies, and especially Microsoft, doesn't care about doing something good for consumers and almost no one complains, the PC is really a natural migration to me.